morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the part of the world you are. I am Sylvanus Ralph Ihai, your biology chemistry teacher. Today we'll be looking into the skeletal system, as tissue and as supporting system. A lot of my students have called and requested for this topic. So we shall be considering tissue and supporting system. Of course, invertebrates, we are very much familiar with tissues, knowing that several cells come together and these cells perform specific function to give rise to tissue. Now, since there are many tissues in the body, the tissues we are talking about here are the supporting tissues. The supporting tissues, very important. Now, skeleton. Skeleton is a framework of bones, cartilages, and other hard materials which provide support and shape to living organisms. By skeleton, we can define it as the framework of bones, cartilages, and other hard materials which provide support and shape to living organisms. So, these materials that provide support to living organisms are what we refer to as skeleton. It could be bone, it could be in the form of cartilage, it could be in the form of any other hard material. Now the forms of skeleton. Skeleton exists in three forms, and by forms we are referring to the nature in which they exist. Three forms. One is chitin or cortical. Two, cartilage, and three, bones. Chitin, cartilage, and bones are the forms of skeleton. Let's talk about the chitin. The chitin is a form of skeleton found in arthropods. Yes, arthropods. Okay, their skin or their skeleton is that of chitin, and it is made up of carbohydrates and minerals, which are usually calcium compounds, such as calcium sulfates, calcium phosphates, calcium carbonates. These minerals sometimes make the chitin to become hard, very hard. And the chitin is found in mainly arthropods, like we said earlier. Example, grasshopper, spider, crab, snail, squid, and what have you. Their skeleton is made of chitin. The chitin is tough. Cartilage now, another form of skeleton. Cartilage is a tough, flexible tissue found in the skeleton of vertebrates. Yes, it's a tough, flexible tissue you find in the skeleton of vertebrates. Take the note of the word vertebrates. Cartilage consists of three materials. That is, there are three materials that make up cartilage. One of them is living cells, which is also called chondroblasts. Living cell called chondroblasts. Can I hear you call it? Yeah, chondroblasts. Then another material it contains is a protein fiber as well as carbohydrates. Remember earlier, chitin we say is also composed of carbohydrates. Cartilage as well is composed of carbohydrates. That is why carbohydrate is important in the body, not just for building energy. It also help in formation of the tissue of certain organisms. So cartilage consists of living cells, which we call chondroblasts, protein fiber, as well as carbohydrates. Types of cartilage. We have hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage, and elastic cartilage. So we have hyaline cartilage, you have fibrocartilage, as well as elastic cartilage. Okay, hyaline, you find this at the surface of movable joints. Surface of movable joints. Of course, the joints at the knee. Now, at the knee, there is cartilage there. At the elbow as well, there is a cartilage there. This cartilage prevents the bones from rubbing against bone. So this is the role the cartilage is playing. Hyaline cartilage. These are the cartilages you find at the surface of movable bones. You also find it at the tracheae, bronchi,
as well as the ridge of the nose. The ridge of the nose. Then fibrocartilage is found in the disc of vertebral column. So the vertebral column, which runs from the skull down to the hip bone, you have at the disc, you have a fibrocartilage, as well as the elastic cartilage found at the ear.
Now let's talk about bones. The bones, this is another form of our skeleton. The bone is a hard material found in the skeleton of vertebrates. Again, the bone is a hard material found in the skeleton of vertebrates. There are three components of the bone, three items that make up the bones. These include: one, the living cells, which can also be referred to as osteocytes. The osteocytes are responsible for the life of the bones. Another material in the bone is protein fiber. Protein fiber is another material which is known as collagen. Then the third material is the minerals. These minerals are responsible for the hardening of the bones. You have the calcium phosphates and the calcium carbonates. These are some of the minerals in the bone which are responsible for the hardening of the bones. Now, in embryo, the embryo of vertebrates usually do not have bone. Rather, what they have is a cartilage. But after some time, the cartilage will become converted into bones, and this process by which the cartilages are converted into bones is called ossification. Ossification. So ossification is the conversion of cartilages to bones. This is found in vertebrates. The younger vertebrates, that's the embryo of vertebrates, their body consists of cartilage. So later on, the cartilage will be converted into bone as development continues. And this process is called ossification. Ossification is the conversion of cartilages to bones. Good. Let's now talk about the types of skeleton. Earlier we talked about the forms of skeleton, and now the types of skeleton. Types of skeleton. And types of skeleton. Earlier we talked about the forms of skeleton, and now the types. Take note, the forms are different from the types. We talk about the forms, that is the nature in which skeleton exists. So they exist in three forms. Earlier, it can exist as cartilage, it can exist as chitin, it can also exist as bones. But now we're looking at the types of skeleton. The types of skeleton. We have the hydrostatic skeleton, exoskeleton, and endoskeleton. Again, the types of skeleton include the hydrostatic skeleton, the exoskeleton, and the endoskeleton. Quickly, the hydrostatic skeleton, of course, hydro means water. Okay, it's a type of skeleton which enables the organisms to move as a result of fluid pressure. Fluid pressure. This type of skeleton enables the organisms to move with the aid of a fluid pressure. In other words, without fluid, it becomes difficult for such organisms. This is found in earthworm. You know that naturally, earthworm cannot move on a dry land. So there must be some element of water for it to move effectively. That is why it is hydrostatic skeleton. So say it's a form of skeleton, okay, which the organisms are able to move as a result of the fluid pressure. Then you have the exoskeleton. Exoskeleton. Okay, it's a type of skeleton found at the external part of the organ. The third one is the endoskeleton. Endo, the word endo means inside. It's a type of skeleton found inside the body of the organisms. And by organisms, we are talking about the vertebrates. These are the types of skeleton: hydrostatic skeleton, exoskeleton, and endoskeleton. Like I said, hydrostatic is found in organisms like earthworm. Exoskeleton is found in invertebrates. All invertebrates, they have exoskeleton. Talk about the arthropods, that's insects, arachnida, crustaceans, they all have an exoskeleton. Then endoskeleton is found in vertebrates. The type of skeleton in vertebrates, that is an endoskeleton, is found in vertebrates. Talk about the fishes, the amphibians, the aves, reptilia, and mammalia. The type of skeleton they have is the endoskeleton. Alright, let's now talk about the groups of the skeleton in vertebrates. In vertebrates, the skeleton is grouped. Let's look at the groups. So in vertebrates, we can group the skeleton, so the man in particular, into axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. So in higher animals, like man as an example, the skeleton can be grouped into axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. So here is a skeleton. As you can see, the skeleton in man can group it into axial and appendicular. So the axial skeleton consists of one, you have the skull, okay? Then you have the vertebral column. This is skull, you have the vertebral column, okay? Then you have the clavicle, okay, also known as the scapula. So the skull, the vertebral column, the clavicle or collarbone, as well as the scapula or shoulder blade, they are part of the axial skeleton. Not forgetting the ribs. The ribs are also part of it. So in other words, the skeleton of man, you can group, you have the skull, you have the vertebral column, you have the clavicle, that's the collarbone, the bone and the collar. Then you have the scapula and the shoulder blade, as well as the ribs. These skeleton make up the axial skeleton. Then the appendicular skeleton consists of the girdles. The girdles refers to the point of attachment of the limbs. The girdles and the limbs. So the appendicular skeleton consists of the girdles and the limbs. I said the girdles refer to the point of attachment of the limbs. So the hand is attached to the shoulder. So you have the girdles. Then you have, whereas the legs are attached to the hip. The girdles and the limbs. So the shoulder as well as the hip bone, they are part of the girdles. Whereas the limbs, you have the forelimb, as the bones of the hand, as well as the hind limb, bones of the leg. This is where we stop today. In our next class, we'll discuss more on the skeleton of organisms. So you can just subscribe to the button below as to get information on when the next video on skeleton